So hello everybody. We'll wait a bit that you enter the room. So before we welcome Michael for this new conference, a bit of instructions. So if you want to ask some question, you can actually comment the conference. Just click on chat and use host and panelist or everybody. Turn to everybody so that everybody can see what you're saying. And if you have questions for Michael, please use the Q&A option. You can vote, you can comment other people's questions. So now let's welcome Michael, and who's going to talk about performance indicator. Have a nice conference, Michael.
Thank you very much, Ben. So hello, everybody. My name is Michael. I'm really glad that you are meeting with us today. So today our presentation will be, we will be talking about KPIs. So what is a good KPI, and most important, which per KPI you absolutely need to track to increase your profits. So this is the subject of our conference today. So I will introduce myself. Just before we start, I just want to make sure that you can hear me and see me well. Again, my name is Michael. I'm a business analyst at Fidelio ERP. I've been in this business for over 20 years now. And this year it will be 17 years that I'm with Fidelio ERP. So what I basically do for businesses is that I help companies eliminate anything that is not efficient in their processes, and I help them as well as to increase productivity and their profits. So that's what I do. Regarding Fidelio ERP, so Fidelio ERP is a full-scale ERP solution. We are based out of Montreal. This year it will be 23 years in business. We have over 70 employees, and what we offer is a brand new 100% web solution. So it's really easy to set up. It's really simple to use, and it's really efficient for all food and beverage companies. So we are really specialized in your type of business. As Ben told you, you can ask your questions in the Q&A bar that you have on the toolbar. And you can also chat if you have any questions or remarks. And my colleague Aude is in the chat, so she will be able to help you as well if there's anything that comes up and you need help. So you can ask Aude by using the chat. Okay, so let's start with our program for today. So what we will talk about in this webinar. So we will talk about what's a good indicator. So what's a good KPI? Which indicator should you follow to increase your profits? How do you measure them? So how do you put in place systems and tools to measure data, capture data to produce those KPIs, and how to use and analyze them. So we will talk about some quick examples today during the webinar. Okay, so let's move forward and let's start. So first topic, what is a good indicator? So what's a good KPI? First of all, KPI stands for key performance indicator. So it's really a strategic value that you want to track on a regular basis. Some can be on a daily basis, weekly, monthly, quarterly, depending on the data and the indicator that you have. And it will really measure the health of your organization and help you meet the goals or objectives that you set for your business. So why do we need to follow KPIs? So it's obviously something that you want to have to track your processes, again, towards meeting your objectives, to better understand your challenges. So to make the difference between is this an exception or is this a trend that's going on in my business? And also to have an idea of how your organization is, benchmarking and comparing itself to its pair in the same business. So meaning that you want to set standards and goals to maybe meet or go above those benchmark in your industry. So basically, analyzing your profits on a monthly basis, is far from sufficient to be heads up and implement adaptive measures. So by saying that, what I mean is, if you have real-time data versus having your results or your numbers next month when your financial statements are done, well, it will make all the difference. So instead of waiting on some report to be prompt to you at the end of a month, you can have the data directly live on your dashboard. So it's really a huge difference. It will allow you to keep the focus on really the objective that you set for your business. It will also help you understand what is going well, and also it will help you target what needs to be improved in your processes. So a good method to set up your KPIs would be to use the SMART method. So the SMART method is asking yourself, when you want to create a KPI, is this specific? Can I measure it? Is this attainable? Is it realistic and in a timely manner? So that's a good way to start, and thinking about what kind of KPIs you need for your business. Okay. Also, the choosing your KPIs by processes. Ultimately, you might want to track maybe 5 or 6 KPIs. It's more about quality than quantity. So it's really things that you want to set to be not be intimidated by the quantity of data that you have on your dashboard. And also, you don't want to lose the perspective of, again, reaching the goal. So I remember once I was doing a site analysis at a client, and I was trying to help them and gather information to understand what would be the KPIs that they would need on a daily basis. And when I was asking questions, people were always talking about printing reports, and everybody that I was asking questions, they were, well, I need to print this and print that for my boss. And when I was asking why, we realized at the end of the day that, in fact, they only wanted to validate 3 things. So first was, we want to validate the profit on the orders. We also want to see in real time the sales that we did the day before. And they also wanted to know, for them, that was a key metric, to know the new customers that they had this month. So again, the thing is, when they would print all those reports, as soon as you print a report, it's already obsolete, because if you have new orders coming in, you would have to reprint a report. So with a dashboard and KPIs, you have always that information in real time, and it's easier for you to follow what is really important for you. So that's why you need this dashboard to help you take good decisions in your business. There are two different major indicators. So I have one, it's called leading or action in the indicator. So action indicator will be really what is going on in real time in the business, and it will allow you to react in real time, versus lagging or analytics indicator that would be probably after the fact. So you want to use those to evaluate and to go to the end result, or to dig deep in the data, to do drill down or data mining to get to know what went on a larger span. So asking yourself, what's the difference between the two? Well, action indicator and analytics, maybe you want to say, is there one type of indicator that has most influence? Well, with the action indicators is like you are in the action. Well, the result or analytics indicator, you want to analyze the data. So a first example is, if you have an audit, a safety audit, food safety audit in your plant, and you want to perform a recall exercise. So quickly with an indicator, an action indicator on your dashboard, you could access directly that information, prompt a specific lot number from a raw material or a finished good, and automatically the system will push the data and get all the audit trail of what went on with that specific lot number. So it's really easy to be in the action, and because you have to produce those reports in a really short period of time, it has to be quick. So it's more a kind of an action indicator. Example number 2 for what is more an analytics indicator would be more analyzing the yield on production. And so it will give you for a larger span of time, the yield that you have on every batch. So you will take action and see and dig in the data to see what went on, when you had greater results, what were the conditions and all that. So you are really allowing yourself to get directly the metrics on your dashboard and then doing that drill down directly from those KPIs that you have set in your analytics indicator. Another example could be that you want to see your inventory levels in real time. Maybe you want to have all your raw material that you have an expiry date that will come in less than 45 days. So you can also decide any kind of information that is really important for you, either on a daily basis while you're in action, and what you need to analyze on a weekly or monthly basis. So this way you can divide your dashboard with action and analytics indicator. So let me show you a quick example of a dashboard that we set in Fidelio with both types of indicators. So what I have at the top part of my screen, the tiles, this would be more my action KPI. So what I need to track on a daily basis, is it my lot numbers that I have an expiry date? Maybe it's my daily sales. Maybe I want to see all my open production orders and so on and so forth. So anything that is tied to a transaction or an operation that I need to track during my shift. So it's really more an action KPI. And at the bottom part, you see more analytics. So maybe I have sales with back orders, maybe I have open quotes, maybe I want to have a graphic view of all my sales by customer and then open up that KPI and, perform drill down analytics to see every transaction for a specific client, what kind of product he's usually buying, and so on and so forth. So you see the difference between the two. One is more a tile that will give you information to react, and the other one would be more of a graph that you can open up and then drill down the information. So it's a good example of how we divide the dashboard with both type of indicators in Fidelio. So moving forward, now, which indicator you should track to increase profits? So we have a couple of examples that we will share with you today. Of course, we can not list them all because there's so many, and it's also depending on type of product or type of market that you have. So let's take a look at a few sides and talk about specific examples that are tied to those specific KPIs that for us, we think it's really a must-have as an indicator that you should have in your dashboard. So the first one would be your productivity rate. So again, what is that KPI? It would allow you to calculate the performance of your bill of material, your recipe. So the difference between what was estimate and what is the actual value of that yield of production. So the higher, the better productivity. So in it, the factors that we will take into consideration to put that KPI in place would be, for example, losses in raw material because I had poor stock rotation and I have raw material that will expire. Losses in finished goods, so probably that at the end of a batch maybe something happened and I had to scrap some of my finished good that I produced. Errors during production based on the recipe, so inaccurate value that maybe an employee put during his batch. So we want to gather all that information to give you really a good productivity rate. So it's really important to see in real time the performance of your batches that you're doing. And that's why this KPI could be an action KPI, meaning it's really what is going on today in on the shop floor, or it could be also a result indicator. So for you to, analyze on a larger period of time all the performance of your plant while doing your product. So it will also help you identify if all the data is entered correctly during production. So if there's ingredients missing, if people didn't clock in the time properly, do your employees also enter the right setup time, or it took longer to set up the line for that production. So all this information will be in that KPI, and it will allow you to adjust either while in action, while you see something is going wrong today at the plant, so you could really adjust on the fly. Or in an analysis, you would realize that maybe, it takes more time to do the setup on that specific line. So you will change the value in that master recipe that you have. So also, maybe your R&D could say to you, if we change that ingredients, maybe it will increase our performance. So it's all data that you can gather for that first KPI, which is the productivity rate. Okay. Second one is really important, is the inventory turnover. So you want to have the minimum losses on raw material. So that's why it's really important to have that KPI to ensure that you won't have any stock surpluses or raw material that the expiry date is coming really close. You need to make sure that the stock rotation is optimal to avoid those losses. And you know right away which ingredients you have to use quickly because you don't want to lose that inventory. So it would be really a certain loss in the profit. So it's really essential to manage that because you will prioritize certain lot numbers as an action indicator. So it's really important for people that are using fresh products. So it's really a huge factor that you need to have on your dashboard. It will also help you and facilitate the management of the entire supply chain because more and more we have people have more challenges. It's harder to get stuff at the right time. So by having your inventory turnover, you will see exactly what is already in stock and what needs to be in stock and purchased in advance. Again, it will help you a lot eliminate the loss in dollars. So again, if stock rotation is bad, you need to throw stuff in the garbage. It's going directly on your bottom line. So it's really bad. And it will also help you to optimize if certain customers are asking you for a specific number of days of shelf life. Again, by optimizing all that stock rotation, it will help that as well. And it will also help you to plan the space that you have available to get all that stuff in the warehouse. So by having a really good stock rotation, it will really help you do that as well. Okay. Another one is really the variation in the cost. So by having that KPI directly on your dashboard, you will be able to adapt your pricing policy better because you will have those variation in raw material in real time on your dashboard. And also, you know, pandemic, you know, it has an impact on you know, the supply chain. So more and more raw material and everything is prices are going up. So we have this now the inflation. So with those KPIs, in order to you having all the information directly and quickly, you will be able to do a real good analysis on all those variations. And you will also see directly if you need to increase your prices, or what we saw also is sell less for the same price, what is called disinflation. So for example, you used to produce a 1 liter pack of a finished good. Then for the same price, maybe now you might to sell it at maybe 10% more in that container. So for the same price. So it's a way to absorb the, you know, the cost variation in your product without cutting on the quality of the product. So again, this is a good action and result KPI. So it's really, you know, good to have the information in real time. And it will also help you to, you know, spot and grab on the fly maybe suppliers that maybe made errors. So you had a guaranteed price on a raw material because you have a contract with them. They are sending you something at the wrong price. So again, the system will catch that in that KPI, and it will help you to, you know, reduce all the risk of errors. And it will help you also make better decisions, or probably also with a certain volume that you might have in analytics. So you can also negotiate discounts with your supplier as well. So it's really important to have the variation in the cost on your dashboard. Okay. Next one is really productivity rate per production line. Why is that important? Because maybe it has an impact on the value between one line or another. Examples, well, imagine that you have 2 packaging lines. One is really a new one, you know, state of the art, and the other one is an old one, which is more manual. So obviously it's going to cost you more doing your production on line 2 versus line 1, which is really all automated. So it's really important to track those information. And maybe sometimes also you want to track, you know, suppliers with raw material, because maybe it will have a negative impact on your productivity, meaning that probably if the quality is bad, maybe you will produce less. So your cost per batch will be higher. Also, something that we also measured at some customers, productivity rate could be different from day shift or night shift. So a good example, or what we did with the analytics, is that during night shift, maybe you can, you know, plan easier tasks that are less focused on the quality of the product. So in that matter, it will affect the effect will be less than if they have to meet the next or the same standard of quality that in the day shift. So it's examples that we had measured at some clients, and we put that in place with those KPIs. So again, it's action and results. So you can measure trends, you can measure modern equipment versus end-of-life equipment, and it will also help you validate if the recipe and the raw material is really optimal and it's giving you really good yield on your production. Okay. Next one is the margin per product per customer per day. So This is a quote from our president, Alex Muller. So it's always saying to customers, you know, the thing that you need to be sure of is not the price that you're selling your goods, but it's really what matters is the margin, the profits that you make. So, you know, if you can measure that, you will always make sure that you will sell your product at the right margin. And we know that in the F&B sector, you know, the margins are really low because everybody is pulling on their side to have a discount, a program, or whatnot. So what you need to take into consideration in real time to validate the product, the profit by product by customer is you have your, you know, what is usually calculated in systems to, you know, generate the profit margin would be cost versus, you know, the price that you sell it. But you also have variables. It could be your labor, your raw material. Do you have to pay sales commission to a sales rep or a broker? Our customers asking for discounts, special rebate, fees, and whatnot. So if you don't have those variables in your costing, then for sure you're missing the point on what is really the actual margin that you have. So, for example, you know that when you're direct with the major chains, they will charge you to unload the truck that you are sending them. So if that cost is not reflected in your system at the real time, so you are losing some of the actual margin of that product. So it's really important to have everything included in that KPI. Like we just said, transport cost on sales, you have returns from that customers and so on and so forth. So this is really a key KPI that you must have on your dashboard to make sure that what you're sending to your customer is at the proper margin, and you can track that on a daily basis. It's really, really, really important. So now, next subject that we have is how to measure the KPI. So again, first thing that you need to focus on is really to work efficiently for the data entry. So do you have the tools to get real-time input, or do you have like double entry? So for example, the classic, what I always experience when we meet with customers to help them in their productivity is that usually they will have a piece of paper and then they give the piece of paper to someone else, and then this is retranscribed sometimes in Excel or sometimes in another system, and then it has to go back to accounting for costing and all that. So it's really first, it's not efficient. It's costing you 2 or 3 times the time because the data is treated more than once. There's a risk of errors in transcription. So really the key is, to be efficient and to have a tool, to enter data in real time during production, during any transaction that you have. Either it's a stock reception, shipping, anything that is tied to, cost measure. The better way to do it is really to have a tool to enter that in real time, so that the KPIs also will be updated in real time to give you good information. Okay, so if we take a look at how to create the structure for the data collection process, so you have to collect the data really and highlight the key information. You don't want to measure all of the information, but really what matters to the costing and the profits that you want to know, and the efficiency of your production line, for example. You also have to have a clear, defined process at all levels, because if your process is not efficient, well, it will reflect on the data that you are collecting. Okay, so meaning that if you are doing rework that is not efficient for you, you're losing time, then the data will show that as well. like we just said in the previous slide, having the right tools. So it's really hard to be to have a good performance with Excel, because again, it will not be directly into a system that will be able for you to be in real time and to create good dashboards. So yes, you have tools that can connect to an ERP software, or you have ERP software like us, like Fidelio ERP, that the dashboard tools is really integrated with the solution. So as soon as you will enter data in the system, it will reflect automatically on the dashboard of the ERP. Your staff needs to be trained properly to get the information the right way. So do not underestimate the time it takes to train people properly, but in the long run, it's going to be a great benefit from you for your organization. Also, don't be afraid to make mistakes. So this is another quote from Alex. He's always saying the cost of doing nothing is often much greater than the investment to improve your productivity. So, the answer, well, why do we do this? Because it's always been done that way. Maybe there's something better to be done. So, at the beginning, when you are, aligning your processes and you're putting in place a way to capture data, practice makes perfect. So don't be afraid. You will find the right way to do it. And also, the information that you gather must be in line with what we talked at the beginning of the session, which is what are the objectives that you're looking for with the dashboard that you are putting in place. Okay. And also, the thing is, if you want to improve something, you have to measure. So it's not possible to improve if you don't measure it. So and also some of our clients, they are really displaying the results on dashboards in the production plant. So people are moving in the same way to achieve goals that you set for that specific group of employees, and at the same time it will move and towards the global objective of your business. Okay, so I just want to look at the chat. Okay, so it's Ode that put some stuff in the chat. How to use the data. So here are some examples that we will share with you. So really example that I've experienced with customers. So example number one, we need to make decisions. So first thing was like productivity rate based on the raw material by supplier. So the KPI that you will put in place will help you identify the supplier that gives you the best productivity rate or the best yield. So what we did at a customer, we were analyzing, because he had a great variance in the results. And, by putting in place KPIs on the dashboard, we realized that it was really a matter of the raw material he was getting from a specific supplier when he had a decrease in his productivity in the day. So by collecting the data, we were able to realize that, and he was like losing at least always 5% less productivity. So by realizing that, now the customer took action, and he now buys more directly from the better vendor, the better supplier. So in fact, he has a better output in his production, and it has a direct impact on the margin, because now his productivity is really going up. And this is the way we capture the data, and by analyzing the data, we were able to put that in place and help that customer achieve its goal in a better profitability. Example number two, for example, you have profitability that per customer per product. So it's really, again, a matter of to see in real time with all the costs that you have surrounding those products, are you making enough profit? And if a customer is asking for something special, well, will you still make a margin out of it? So, for example, at another customer, what we did, sometimes, at the end of the month, they were realizing that in some weeks they were really doing good on certain products with the margin, and with other, they were really, really low, and sometimes they were losing money. And by collecting the data, we realized that all of the promotion were, for example, at the chains on the same week. So in that week, he was losing money and making money all the other weeks. So what we did, because we realized that with, collecting the data and putting that in the dashboard. So now we put in place a promotion calendar with all the big chains. So now when he's doing a specific, promotion, it is really tied to a calendar in the week. So he is spacing his promotion from chain to chain to 1 week to another. So instead of losing money now on a certain week because all the promotion were at the same time, he's still making profits every week, because he realized that it was really not a good idea for him before. And now with that promotion calendar, we are able to help him in getting profits every week. Another example that we also add at the customer is that prior, he was never including the setup time, but he was never taking into consideration the setup time when he was doing production. So by doing that, again, we had a lot of variances in the production, and we also had poor quality sometimes and poor results on the profits. So by setting up again a KPI that was focusing on all the steps, we realized that he was doing too much setup. So what we did in the production KPI that we had for him is he was able to see in advance all the batches that were requiring the same line. And then we could group all those batches directly at the same time to, again, reduce setup time. And in the same time, it was reducing the cost of setup. So again, by reducing a cost, we increase, the profits directly for him. So couple of examples I wanted to share with you. So I hope that the webinar was good, and that give you ideas of how to generate and create those KPIs. So if you have any questions for us, you can ask them now. So it would be our pleasure to answer your questions, or you can contact us directly by email. And it will be a pleasure to answer your questions and help you in putting in place great dashboards with to improve your productivity and profits with those KPIs.
So we have two questions.
Okay.
So the first one is, would you also recommend tracking downtime? Sorry.
Yes, because if downtime is important to track, because it has an effect on your productivity, and at the same time, if you know in advance that a line will be down because of maintenance or something like that, it will help you to, when you're going to do your production planning, it will help you in your planning to know in advance that the downtime is occurring, or also during a shift. For sure, it will affect your costs. So for sure, it's mandatory to track a downtime that you have during production.
Thank you. And the second one was, if we have to choose, is it better to invest in a BI tool or an ERP system to start tracking KPIs?
But for my part, BI tools are good if you already have a structure in place, and the better way to put structure in place and to have a streamline of processes would start with an ERP system. So for me, the ERP system would come first because you would have all the integration that you need to gather the data, and then after that, being able to put that in a BI tool, for example. But like I said in the webinar with Fidelio, you get both. So that would be my take on that.
Thank you. So don't hesitate to ask other questions in the chat box.
Or in the Q&A.
In the Q&A, yes, sorry. Okay, so I think we don't have any more questions for today, Michael.
Okay, so again, it was a pleasure having you today. I hope that you enjoyed our webinar. And again, it will be our pleasure to, exchange information with you guys. So you can send us an email. You can go on our website, connect also with us on LinkedIn. And it was really a pleasure to share this information with you all today.
Okay, thank you all for attending. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Aude. And let's meet in 1 hour and 20 minutes for the next conference, how to automate your food safety task. So thanks again, Michael.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.